Hold that thought. Hey guys, welcome back to the conversation. Thank you so much for tuning into the last video. I really appreciate it, and for everyone who shared it, commented, enjoying the conversation, thank you. I'm overwhelmed. I truly, that seems so disingenuous. Is that the word? Disingenuous? It just seemed kind of fake when I said that just now, but I really am overwhelmed. Like, I didn't expect that reception. I was just sharing my story, and I'm really glad that there were some people who were interested in hearing my story and sharing my story. So thank you all. I appreciate you. To the Oakhampton people, Oakhamptonites, I don't know what we would call you, but to the ones who watched the video and shared it and reached out and like offered apologies and just like assuring words and encouraging words, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Okay, without further ado, let's get into the video today. So I got a lot of questions from people who watched the video in my DMs about the video itself and about my story. I didn't get to respond to all of them because a lot of them were repetitive questions, so I decided rather than just copy and paste an answer to everyone individually, I would answer the questions here. So I've got them on my trusty phone. Not like I have another phone, it's like one phone. I've got them on my trusty phone, and I'm gonna basically try and answer a few of those questions today. If you sent a question in and I didn't answer it for you, or I answered a question today and you're like, that's not really like what I was asking, and you want to ask again for clarification, feel free to send me more questions in my DMs or in the comment section. If you send them to my DMs, I'm just going to assume that you don't want anyone to know it's you sending them, and that's cool. I respect that. I will not say like any names. If you send them in the comments, I don't think I'll mention your name anyway, but just so you have that assurity, if you send me a question in my DMs, I'm assuming the question is to be put forward as an anonymous question. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm just gonna open it up. Okay, so the first question is, why speak up now? I got asked that a lot. I was surprised by the amount of like DMs I got that were like, well, why talk now? Why say it now? I spoke up because I was noticing that a lot of people were absolving themselves from the situation. A lot of people were removing themselves from the situation and saying like, I've never been this person, I've never been like, I'm so glad I've never done this. And that was when it kind of hit me more that covert racism is actually such a silent killer, shall I say, because like so many people are unaware that they're doing it. And I just felt like if I make this video and if I share just one story out of many stories, that hopefully someone will watch it and understand like those little micro things that they do are actually racist things, even if they themselves feel like they're not being racist. They don't realize that that little micro thing that they're doing is racist. Like I said in the video, it was supposed to be educational and make people think about the words that they're saying and how their racial biases influence the way they speak to people. So yeah, that was why I felt like now was the time to speak up, especially with the current climate and people being so open to actually learning and educating themselves. I thought, why not? Now is the time. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Peace. I don't know why I said peace. The next question, if you hated it so much, why did you go back? Because I hated the racism, but I loved the show. I loved being part of that magic. I loved doing the Polar Express. I love acting. I love kids. I love doing kids shows. I love acting in general. Any kind of acting I get to do, especially if it's for kids, because they're just such a raw audience. Like, I loved it. And just seeing that magic in their eyes when you remember them from like the show last year, or like when you tell them like some fun anecdotal story about you and Mrs. Claus from the North Pole, and just working on the fly, I really enjoyed it. And being me and looking the way that I do, getting jobs, acting jobs in London was extremely difficult. So doing something that I love to do was an extremely difficult thing because I didn't look an acceptable way, I guess. But then I found, like, when I moved to America and I moved to Canada, it was a lot easier to get jobs because I guess the storylines were a little bit different. So yeah, like, one, I really just wanted to work, and two, I had so much fun working. So I figured, why not? But then I guess the negativity that surrounded it kind of ruined the positive moments on the inside. So that's why I stayed. I didn't hate it. I don't know. I think it was just draining. It was just draining being in that situation for 6 weeks on end, just consistently. It was just like, okay, no, I can't do this no more. So I don't know if I hate it. I think I was just drained by it. Question number 2. I just coughed and like choked at the same time. Question number 2. Would you go back one day? 3. Oh, would you go back one day? Sorry, I can't read my own typing. I'm not wearing my glasses. Would I go back one day? To Oakhampton, I would like to. I think it would be really cool to go back and see the changes. A lot of people from Oakhampton actually were reassuring me in the comments in different group chats where they were sharing the videos that Oakhampton isn't that way anymore, and that they're changing and they're working on changing and getting rid of racial biases and just judgmental people in general. And so it'd be really cool to go back and see an Oakhampton without the racism. That would be super fun. Plus I really enjoyed the town, so I have to make that correction. I said village in the first video and I think I offended some people from Oakhampton. Oakhampton is not a village, it's a town. But no, it's honestly a really beautiful town. It has so many different picturesque settings. If you love castle ruins and you love going on walks and hikes and just wandering around, like, it's such a great place to do so as someone who loves to wander. I had a great time. So it would be great to be able to go back and just take in the scenery and just kind of enjoy Oakhampton without being followed through stores and looked at like I'm some sort of weird escaped science experiment. Where have you experienced racism the most, or the most racism? That question kind of baffled me a bit. I got asked it quite a bit, but like, I don't know, it seemed like a weird question because it was almost like someone was trying to tally up, like, oh, there's more here and there's more there, so this place is more racist. I don't think I ever had a tally system, even when I was making the list. Like, a lot of the situations I experienced in Canada, I'd experienced in London, I had experienced in the States. So it wasn't like, oh, there was this, like, this amount here, like, oh, I experienced it more when I was in London, or I experienced it more when I was here. I think I've experienced an equal amount of racism in everywhere basically, like, and at the end of the day I shouldn't have to experience racism at all. So I don't think there is like a tallying scale of like, oh yeah, you're right man, the States are so much more racist. I don't know what that accent was, let's just pretend I didn't do that, but yeah, like, I don't think there was like a specifically more racist place than the other. Like, they were all equally unwanted racist situations. So yeah, I don't know, I hope that answers your question, to the ones that asked those questions. Okay, so how do I know if I'm being covertly racist? This question made me really happy because it meant that people were actually watching the video and were ready to educate themselves and were like, yo, like, I want to know, I want to be that change, I want to change, I don't want to be that same person anymore. So it was really cool seeing that question. The best way to know if you are being covertly racist is to, one, talk to your friends. Like, if you have black friends and you've noticed that you'll make jokes sometimes that they don't always laugh at, like, in terms of race, definitely have that conversation with them, because you might not realize that you are being covertly racist. It is a silent killer, so you might not be aware that you are being covertly racist. But it definitely will make them feel way more comfortable if you actually said to them, like, hey, I'm sorry, did that offend you? And when you say you're sorry and you ask if it offended them, don't like push the subject. If they're like yes, just be like, my bad, and push it. Like, don't sit there and be like, oh my gosh, tell me how, let's talk about this. Like, don't do that, because it's just awkward. Like, just acknowledge it, apologize, and keep pushing. There isn't like a specific way outside of straight up conversation to know if you're being covertly racist, but understand that there are certain words and thoughts that you have that are, what's the word, that are based off of the racial biases that you have learnt growing up. So it is your duty to be actively unlearning. So you know those things that you look at certain situations and you're like, oh, that's a black thing. Those things that make you have that thought, those are the things you need to actively unlearn. And that's just it. That's pretty much it. Just be very conscious of the words that you say and how you say them, because yeah, If you also, another thing, if you change the way you talk to your black friends, like if you have black friends and you talk to them one way and you talk to your white friends a completely different way, you are being covertly racist because you feel like you need to change your tone when you talk to black people. And when I say that, I mean like, if you talk to your white friends just casually like this, but then you meet your black friends and you're like, you walk one, what's happening, bruv? Yeah, blood, what's good? Yeah, let's take that and just throw that over there. It's not needed. That's actually covertly racist because you're basically like trying to assimilate so that they could understand you because you assume that they wouldn't understand you if you didn't speak that way. That's not a thing. So yeah, I guess that's how you know. I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, let me know. Have you ever experienced racism in any other jobs? I have. I've worked a couple of different jobs. I don't want to say I'm a Jacqueline of all trades because I don't think I am, but I have had the fun pleasure of like having a few different jobs in different fields, and I have experienced like racism in those fields. I've been, what do you call it? A token hire. I don't know if anyone knows what a token hire is, but it's basically where they need to have a black person on staff, so they're like, sure, come on in, we love you. Great! But then when you bring up like black issues, they're like, oh my gosh, no, that's not what you're here for. What? Stop. But like I've had that. I've had like coworkers who have been racist to me, and like I've had like managers who've been racist to me. I've had customers who've been racist to me. It all varies. It definitely all varies. I've experienced it when I'm nannying, where I'll be out with my nanny kids in Canada who are white, and like people will be asking my nanny kids while I'm sitting with them if my nanny kids are okay, and not in the like genuine concern like, oh guys, are you alright? No, like my nanny kids are sitting chilling, just being cool and calm and well behaved, and like some random white woman will walk up to them and be like, oh my god, are you guys okay? Are you alright? Are you with her? Okay. And it's like, why? What in the stranger danger are you doing? Like, please don't talk to my nanny kids. Like, step off. Step off, Gretel. Step off. I'm sorry if your name is Gretel. This is the first, like, elderly name that popped into head. So, into my head. Into head? Oh my gosh. It was the first elderly name that popped into my head. But anyways, yeah. Like, I've experienced it in different jobs. So, it's like, you kind of reach a point where you're kind of like, it's like a countdown almost of like, oh yay, guess you made it. So yeah, I have. What do I regret most about my racist encounters? What do you regret most about your racist encounters? Yes. I think I regret not being vocal. I think I said it in the last video that like I wish I had spoken up when like things were going on, and I think that was my biggest regret, because I have since spoken to my boss from the Polar Express, and she literally was like, you should have told me, it's not your job to handle that, it's mine. And like, she didn't say it in a way to make me feel bad for not saying it. She wanted me to know that like I had an ally in her, like I had someone I could turn to, and she didn't care what the repercussions were, she would have had my back. And like, I wish I had been brave enough to just be vocal and speak up and just say what I had to say, and then see that like I had an ally in her. Yeah, in them, sorry, there's two of them, but like, yeah, I wish I had spoken up and been vocal, and that's what, I guess that's my biggest regret, because there were so many friends who I have who watched the video and were like shocked because they themselves didn't realize that their actions were racist, because they were like, oh my gosh, like I wish I'd known, like, and it made them reevaluate a lot of different things that they had been doing. So I'm happy I made a video, but like, I guess that would be my biggest regret, not being vocal back then. But if I had been vocal back then I wouldn't have made the video, would I? So I guess it's kind of like a blessing in disguise. I don't know. I'm sure there's like some fun word to describe that sort of situation. So if you know what that word is, comment down below. But seriously, if you do, let me know, because I actually am curious for that. I was going to say deja vu, but I know that's not actually the word or the phrase for it. So yeah. The next question, I'm rambling. The next question is, oh my gosh, I'm not wearing my glasses. How do you cope with racism in the workplace nowadays? I don't. I don't know how to say it. I don't like, I don't cope with it. I don't know if that's the word. I don't cope. Like, if I'm in a situation where someone is being racist to me at work, I'm deeply vocal right now. Like, right now, I'm just like, there's no mercy. There is none. I am sorry. You will not get away with this. I'm, like, gonna call you out on it. I have noticed that a lot of people nowadays are being vocal and they're calling people out, and then, like, the people they call out are now, like, expecting, like, black people, I guess, to stand with them, to be like, oh, okay, no, they apologized, it's okay now, it's alright because they apologized. But no, because in the moment you didn't care. You're only apologizing now because you're having to face repercussions for it. So I guess, like, that's my approach now. Like, if you boldly say something to my face that is actually racist, or, like, you want to start being racist or whatever it is, like, I don't just take it sitting down. Like, I'm a letter writer. And for those of you who don't know what that is, that just means, like, I am that chick that will send a letter to HR and be like, hey, I've also CC'd in so-and-so person. I keep a copy of the letter myself. I expect a response, because if I don't get a response, I will, like, go to the correct resources and avenues and stuff. So yeah, like, I'm that person, because I also don't really like standing in people's faces to be like, and she said... So, like, yeah, rather than do that, I'm that person that will write a letter and I expect a response, and if I don't get a response, I know where I stand. So yeah, there's that. Because I kind of got tired of, like, quitting places because of racism. It's, like, really, it's really, like, frustrating having to walk away from jobs because of racism. Like, I shouldn't have to give up my financial stability because you yourself would refuse to give up your racial biases. Like, why? It just doesn't make sense. Question number 9, I think. It's written down as number 9, so I'm just gonna say it's number 9. I don't know. Are there any moments of racism that weirded you out? This question made me laugh, and that's the reason why I included it. So I actually, like, this is, like, the super weird part. Like, I actually dated a racist, and his entire family was racist. They would make so many racist comments, but what weirded me out the most was that he would make these racist comments boldly, and, like, he'd be like, oh, we're gonna have kids, and I'm like, it was weird because it was like, you're really racist, but you genuinely think I'm gonna marry you and raise kids with you. What? Like, how? It was really weird. It was honestly such a weird situation, a situation I was in far longer than I should have been. But, like, his family were racist. His mom would tell people I was a phase and that I was only with him for a green card. Like, she'd say things like, oh, she's only with him for, you know, help. You know the situation. I'm like, what's the situation? I don't know what the situation is. I'm British. I'm a British citizen. I'm a British citizen with a passport. I'm not, like, some, like, immigrant who just doesn't have a stay anywhere. No, if I leave Canada, I can go back to London and get a job. But I don't want to. But, like, I do have that option. But, like, it was weird just being in that situation. His uncle would make, like, super racist comments and ask, like, oh, like, if you guys are going to get married, who do we give the goat to? And I'm like, what? What? She, like, I remember his mom was making fun of, like, traditional Nigerian attire because she'd watched a video on a Nigerian engagement, and she was like, oh, that's so cool, look at those funny little hat thingies that the women wear. And I was like, what? But yeah, like, there were a lot of different situations. Another weird situation was I was actually told by a guy that he didn't actually like me. I was just a bucket list item for him because he'd never actually hung out with a black girl, and I was like, oh, and you never will. And you never will. So yeah, there's been so many weird situations, but, like, I'm not in them anymore. I'm older, I'm wiser, I'm me. That sounded like such a commercial. But yeah, like, that's it. Those are the only questions I'm gonna answer for today. I don't know. Maybe next time I'll do another Q&A. You guys let me know if you want me to do any more. If you guys have any more race-related questions, feel free to send them to me. I am not the reigning authority, but I will answer them to the best of my ability. Like I said at the beginning, thank you everyone who tuned into the last video. I really, really do appreciate you. Thank you for sharing it, liking, commenting, subscribing, all of that jazz. Keep up the good work, and let's try and do the same with this video too. Maybe all the other ones too. But yeah, thank you guys. I still haven't got a sign out yet, which I've been told is a bad thing. I'm supposed to have like a really cool sign out, and I don't have one. So until next time, fish and chips.